Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel ThinkHub. I am Daksh Khandelwal, your host and host of this series Beyond the Headlines. And you are watching episode number 69 of this series Beyond the Headlines. And in today's video, we would be covering three most important stories that are making headlines, and we will try to understand what they really mean to us. I guess today there are four news. One is from the Hindu newspaper also. So we will just cover first Hindi newspaper news and then the three in South China Morning Post video. And also today's there will be a video will be live around 8:45 p.m. because today is Saturday and the video's title is Python Roadmap 2026. That was an update for you. So let's get started without wasting any further time with just a small intro. So the first news is that Pakistan, Saudi Arabia and Turkey ink defense deal. So there has been deal between Pakistan, Saudi Arabia and Turkey, the ink defense deal. And the argument is places the collective response or to armed aggression against any member. Basically, the deal will strengthen the security and promote the peace and stability in the region. So peace thing is there. So something about peace and Pakistan is there is something strange, but yeah, there is there, and basically the joint statement is there, and the pact is a defense oriented partnership. Basically, this whole pact between these three countries is a defense oriented pact partnership that does not target any country, Turkish government has said. And you can just read the full news that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia and Turkey on Friday has signed a joint defense agreement in Mecca, committing collective defense and collective deterrence at this time when Saudi Arabia is an under attack from Yemen's basically under attack in that. So they have just signed a peace agreement, or you can say peace defense agreement, and it's a practical scope for that. They thought that it's a practical scope, and in September 2025, weeks after Israel carried out an attack on Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a strategic mutual defense agreement, but that commitment did not follow up, and this was break. But now they have again signed a treaty, and it's a defense-oriented partnership, and also basically some peace stability on the region of that. So that's the news for you all. Now moving towards the second news. So second news is about the China's lab ground diamonds get an AI boost in industry. So what does it mean? That overthink means natural diamonds in consumer markets. Lab assistant were the world's strongest natural substance. You all know that diamonds are the world's strongest substance, but the natural diamonds in the consumer market of China is one of the most world's strongest natural substance have become a bright spot for industrial applications because it's in the global AI boom. As India is it is sorry, not India, as world is the largest producer of synthetic gems, China has posted strong export growth in recent years. You can just read the data. This is the past, and this is just because of AI boom, because they can uh, generate a new growth engine has emerged for the sector. Lab grown diamonds are chemically and physically identical to natural ones with the same material properties, and for industrial applications, however, they offer distinct advantages. But this growth in that industry because of artificial intelligence, and that's the news. And you can just read the full news. So what we are seeing now is that the overall demand for lab grown diamonds remains very robust. So basically, the overall demand for the lab grown diamonds has remained very robust. So that's a statement said by Ling Quang, a Shanghai Diamond Exchange property. And you can just read it that all at the last of month, natural diamond prices had tumbled 30% over the last 3 years and were showing no signs of recovery. So it's just because of boom of AI and all. So that's why this news is there. Now moving towards the second news. So second news is that China faces a new AI bottleneck as it runs out of Chinese language training data. So what does is then? So as you know that China has a high stakes race to build generate artificial intelligence models and entering a new critical new phase where they are just existential threat in upcoming view into the view of severe shortage of high quality training data. So there is a shortage of high quality training data. While the US has chokehold on advanced computing chips and dominated the headlines, and Chinese AI expert has increasingly warned that basically it's a running of quality data, and we have that we need high quality data to high quality training data, so that one that hardware works around cannot easily solve. So it's a challenging confronting AI giants on the both sides of Pacific, and all some US companies also resorting to aggressive measures to stay ahead. So basically there's some issue with that. And OpenAI co-founder as Andrej Karpathy has also warned of looming data wall by the end of this decade. So let's see what happens under the. It's basically under an internal initiative code named Project Panama. Amazon.com backed Anthropic spent tens of millions dollars acquiring millions of physical books. So basically, there is quite a problem in that. Means what end this story is telling you that due to some this AI, due to some lot of AI, the quality training data is making lack of that. We are having lack of quality training data, not for China, also for America, and also for India. Also, this will be a major problem in upcoming years. So, competition in the AI era is not about only about the model. This is also about the computing power, and how this computing power is decided. So, this computing power is decided about how high quality data supplies system. So that's how you can see that this statement is given by China Academy of Information and Communications Technology. So basically, competition is in AI area is not about only the models. It's about the computing power, high quality data, and basically how data is very important. So data is so I will tell you how much data is important in today's world. So from whenever the data was introduced, the data term was introduced till today, the most of 90% of data are made generated in last 2 years. 90%. Yes, this data is official that 90% data has generated from last 2 years. So out of that 190, out of 190 things, I mean 90% have been made around in past 2 years. So that's a use, and data is very important in AI and in everything. So you can just see that you can just read it that different companies is saying, and it's not an argument and all. Algorithm is compute data were the three pillars of AI models. First is algorithm, second compute, and data. So data is also a pillar of AI model, the third part data. And the study said that high quality and more abundant data were the driving force behind the success of generative AI tools, generative AI models. So the success for generative AI models were high quality and more abundant data were the success for this. And now it's like we are just finding some lack on that. So that's why it's concerning about that. However, the push to digitize China's offline heritage is already basically facing resistance as publishers and copyright holders fight back. But now they are drawing some boundaries around their books, so that's a issue. Now moving towards the third news that Capricorn posts 108% surge in the first half revenue amid China's massive AI chip deep. So right. So basically this news is about what we say semiconductors industry, and we will just that China's AI is a giant is a China's AI giant Capricorn Technologies had reported a 108% surge in first half revenue, because I've told you that AI sector and the semiconductor industry, these two industries are gonna touch as high as possible. So they are just very booming industries in today's world. And so basically on Friday, and there's the chai chip makers revenue for the first, you can just see the revenue. I'm not just reading the data. And in the second quarter, the firm's revenue this was this. So you can just read the data. I'm not just reading the data. The company has attributed the revenue surge to steady increase in demand of AI computing. So chips with AI is very useful, and they are just AI demand for AI computing power during the first 6 months. And the earning jumps underscores the broader boom in China's AI chip. And while the US export, the controls largely cutting off China's access and all, you can just read it. And basically, Capricorn Shanghai listed stock closed up 2.7% at nearly 1 to 1,200 yuan. And Capricorn has previously outlined the ambitious plans to dramatically scale its operators. You can just see that is basically the main story was that competition is likely to intensify as peers launches new products in second half of 2020, sorry for that, 2026. And in the filling, Capricorn said that it will be the developing a next generation intelligent processor, micro architecture and instruction set. So basically, it's very important that semiconductor industry is going to be far as possible, and it's going to touch high as possible. So that's all. So that was the four news, one from the Hindu. So let me discuss the key learnings from today. So from the first news, the key learning was that from that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia and Turkey has signed a pact deal and of peace and defense system deal, and they will just make maintain the peace and decorum of from these countries amid the past attack of on Saudi Arabia. So let's see till how much, because they this on September 2025, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan also have signed a deal, but that was failed. So let's see how much how much time this deal will be extended, and how effectively this deal will be. So that's was the key learning from first news. And from the second news were about the AI technologies. So I just forgot what was the second news. Just a minute. I just forgot what was the second. Yeah, China's lab diamonds. So lab diamonds are increasingly due to the AI boom industry. That was the key learning. And from second, that was from second news that China faces AI bottleneck. And due to some lack of high quality training data, China faces some lack in that. Oh, sorry, I think this video is just buffering. I'm just sorry for that. So yeah, due to that China, wait a minute. Yeah, due to that, so China is facing a bottleneck. So this will be just a major problem for India will in the world also, that they are just lacking about high quality training data. So if you need to train the any generative model or any AI model, you need a high training model. So that's why they are just lacking around that, and that's why it's just concerning about that. And on the third news, we just discussed about the semiconductor industry uses and high with respect to artificial intelligence. So there is 108% surge in semiconductor industries, basically chip due to some AI, due to AI artificial intelligence booming sector. So that was the three news from South China Morning Post and one from the Hindu paper. That's the news for today. And that's all for today's episode of Beyond the Headlines. And also I've given you that from for today the video will be live around 8:45. The video, that weekly video, will be gone, and that I've discussed about the Python roadmap. That's all for today's episode. If you found this video useful, consider subscribing to ThinkHub for more news, AI, and learning content. I will see you in the next video lecture, in the next videos. Till then, keep learning and stay curious.